All right. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. How you feeling? Feeling good?
I'm good, man. So you're telling me I have to not give spoilers to
No,
the
no, no. No. I
people?
warned them that we're going to spoil shit. Is what I'm saying. Okay. And my prediction is hanging right on so far. Because we had, of course, everybody leans to the fucking negative always. Oh, Hard Knocks. Oh, it was a disaster last time. This, that. And I keep trying to tell everybody here, because I've been covering this for a long effing time. This isn't the same front office. This isn't the same coaching staff. This isn't the same shitty quarterbacking you've had since Marino left. This isn't the same team that you've had in the past, the same culture you've had in the past. I get it. We're all tortured from the past, but you got to leave that shit behind. This is a really good franchise now. This is one of the best front offices in the NFL. And this Hard Knocks, what it's going to do, instead of having Ireland and Philbin and all the bullshit you had going on then, you don't have any of that. You have harmony. And last night, what you saw was, I think players around the league are going to say, that's the kind of franchise I want to be a part of. Those are the kind of dudes I want to play with, because that scene where they're around, supporting Jalen, and then after talking about him in that room, about the support that they got to give him and everything else, and the way McDaniel handles everything, I just think that this is going to be an incredible recruiting tool for the Miami Dolphins. And last night, it was on center stage.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Jalen Phillips injury. You knew it was going to be the center of the show this week, and it was just kind of just easy content for them. It was a layup for HBO to knock it out of the
Yeah.
park, and really, it was like a layup, like D Wade throwing it up to LeBron in Milwaukee, because HBO really killed it. They really delivered, just like that. Yeah, you couldn't help but feel for Jalen Phillips, man. I tore my Achilles before. I knew the exact same feeling Jalen Phillips went through. When he said like somebody felt like somebody kicked him or hit him from behind or shot him. When I tore my Achilles, it felt like somebody was like in a sniper in a building, and I just got taken down right there, man. It's a pop, you know it. You know it when it happens, and then when he's telling his teammates that it got popped, and then they're like, "No, man, no," and he knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't help but feel for the kid and the tears that came down on his face immediately on the field. As soon as it happened, and it really, really sucks, man, because Jalen Phillips, since week 5 when he came back from the groin injury, Dolphins have had the best defense in the NFL, and he's been the catalyst. He's been the reason. That's in my opinion. But when you look at the film and you look at all of that, Bradley Chubb has stepped up, Christian Wilkins has stepped up, Zach Sealer stepped up, maybe Andrew Van Ginkel's taken a little step back or something like that, but not even much at all. Like all
You're
those
not
guys have eaten because of Jalen
you're not
Phillips.
playing him like you were when Phillips was out. So
Yes.
now you go back to playing him like when Phillips was out. And I think now Van Ginkel will star a little bit more, and maybe Good
Mhm.
will be the guy that will be playing linebacker now, because I think Good is the guy that's kind of been
Yeah. When
he's the next guy in line that's kind of being groomed to help out there.
the thing with Phillips is he commands 2 people. And Van Ginkel isn't at that stage yet. Other teams don't know about Van Ginkel that well. They know he can make a splash play, but I don't think he's commanding 2 people on the offensive line, allowing some other guys to free up. But back to
Right.
Hard Knocks, and what I believe is just you mentioned it's a recruiting tool, and let's not get it twisted. As much as everybody's going to say that they're not watching this on the team, they're going to end up watching it at some point, right? It's so easy to have DVR downloaded. I can watch a half an hour
Please.
now, a half an hour later. Everybody's going to pretend like they didn't watch it, but they're all watching it. Everybody wants to see a documentary about themselves. Okay. Trust me. Cam Wolf was looking at the documentary last night. He's like, oh, there I am. You know what I'm saying? Like all of us are looking for it when we're there attending the meeting and stuff to see if we get a little inch of getting it into it. I was in the Messy doc, by the way, first episode. But anyways, when you look at the everybody's going to watch it. And I think NFL players also watch it around the league too. It's why the show is really popular, because the players like it when they get involved with it. It helps their brands. You can't tell me all these guys don't care about their personal brands. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey got a huge bump in the first 2 episodes, right? And all Tyreek has been about is his brand in football, which is great to see as well. And Jalen Ramsey as well too, with all the promo videos he's been doing since before and after the injury. So, this is all just more adding, to the branding for the players and things like that. As far as a recruiting tool, Okay, yeah, sure, maybe the guys see the Dolphins have a good group and that visit and get to know the guys and know it's a different feeling there too. But there's another recruiting thing there, Big O. It's Steve
They,
Ross's
they
pick.
have they have the money and they have the no state tax. Big
Yeah,
deal, bro.
best recruiting
They
best
always
recruiting in the
money,
NFL.
no state tax has always been their advantage, but that was always their hook for anything. They can get
Yeah.
people just with money and no state tax, but
Now they have
now
everything else figured out.
but you knew you were going to like when Ndamukong Suh signed here, you weren't here, okay?
Hmm.
And we had people, oh, this is going to change the defense, and I was like, no, it's not. It's not changing anything. He just came here to collect the check. In his
Hmm.
open press conference, they asked him why he signed with Miami. It's because they're forward thinking, he said, some shit like that.
Okay.
And it's like he didn't say, oh, I came here to win because they got a winning, pro. That's the difference where you're
Yeah,
not just
definitely.
coming for the check and the state and the no state tax. Now you're coming to win and no state tax and the check because Stephen Ross will always cut the check. That's not the problem here. That's never been the problem here. But the lack of dysfunction, what Chris Greer said when he took over, that the dysfunction would be out the window. Well, finally, once you got the meddling owners out of the way and flow, now you have no more dysfunction and everything's
Hmm.
going on. So to me, that's what makes it sexy now because I've watched this for years where all they had was money and no state tax to attract
Yeah,
people.
it was the only attraction.
Right, it's the only
Yeah.
attraction. Now the team is the attraction, and then the bonus is the no state tax and the money now. That's the way I
Yeah,
look
look,
at it.
I look at it the same way too. Look, the Dolphins had a lot of hands in the cookie jar. When I first started, it was Tannenbaum, Adam Gase, and Chris Greer. Three guys, and two of them didn't know what the hell they're doing. So Greer takes over and he's the one man show by himself, and then him and Flores are butting heads during their time together. So now him and Mike McDaniel are kind of humming on the same tune right now. Thank goodness they did the Tyreek Hill trade because that's a trade that the Dolphins didn't do in all the years I've been here, and for a long time too. To go and try to go get the best player out of position in the league and to change your trajectory of your franchise, it was a huge move. I think that's probably Chris Greer's best
Really?
move outside
You
of
didn't
moving up to 5.
you didn't think Mike Wallace was that move?
Or Brandon Marshall, anybody else of those guys? Come on.
Brandon Marshall?
No, you went and got a bona fide Hall of Famer already, who already won a Super Bowl, who already kind of has his one foot in the Hall of Fame. That was the biggest move for me. For me, that one and taking the Texans trade and then the 49ers trade, Tyreek is still above for me because he's the player that's actually on your team that's doing work for you right now. And he's the reason why you're in this playoff mix because he's one of the best players in the NFL.
I
So
mean,
Chris Greer's done an incredible job. Mike McDaniel's done a great job too.
you're in
What was
this
that?
mix. You're in this mix because Chris Greer finally is in power, and you're letting
Hmm.
him do what he wants because he knows what the hell he's doing. That's why he brings
Yes.
Mark Allen and Reggie McKenzie on because he
Hmm.
has no ego and he brings two freaking superstars on with him. Reggie McKenzie has zero business being here. He should be
He should
running.
be a GM of his own team. Yeah.
He should be. He should have never left the Raiders. They should have never fired him. They were doing great with him. I'm glad they
Uh-huh.
did. Glad they're stupid. Like this moron David Tepper I watched yesterday. Did you watch that press
Uh-huh.
conference?
I
I'm not
didn't, but I saw
no,
the highlight of that one.
like no, but you got to watch the whole press conference. Like that guy. Oh my God, dude! Wow, I feel horrible for Panthers fans.
Didn't he
That's
say
an
they were going to trade for Stroud, but
insider.
they could have picked Stroud with the number 1 pick?
Yeah, no, he's the one that this whole thing. I'm convinced that Frank wanted CJ and the owner wanted, Young, and
Bryce Young,
so
yeah.
that's what happened here. That's why he didn't completely go all. Well, I believe it was almost all unanimous. Yeah, no, that's right. The guy you fired wasn't part of your unanimous.
Look,
The guy you
this
fired
is
is the guy that knows about quarterbacks, not you, moron. And that's the problem that we had. Bruce Beal. Hey, I can
Mhm.
make moves here. I'll go get Tom Brady. And I
Yeah.
mean, just about that. You could have ended up with Watson. You could have ended up with Brady. You could have ended up. What was the other mess that? Oh, Rodgers. All of
Mhm.
these things have become disasters. And
This is
you know,
yeah,
wow.
definitely. This is where you learn in sports where the owner who is too hands-on could be bad at times, right? Like you look at Steve Ballmer with the Clippers, he's just bringing energy. Bring your energy, bring your pocketbook. Don't bring anything else, right? You look at Steve Ross, and Steve Ross has given Tom Garfinkel the keys to the Ferrari pretty much, and they've gone out and brought an F1 race to the Dolphins. The Dolphins have a side hustle that's crazy compared to the regular hustle. All right. And then on
Yeah,
top
yeah.
of that, they've given
Yeah,
Chris Greer the
oh, yeah.
keys to
But
the.
when the owner meddles, he f's up. Whether it's the Brady thing, whether it's going to go get Harbaugh in the
That's
middle of
fine.
the night when you
That's
already
fine.
have a coach,
That's fine. That's
whether
fine.
it's
That's
knocking
fine.
down the school in the middle of a hockey game in Detroit,
That's
it
fine.
just the owner,
I'm
sometimes
all for trying to go get Brady when he's available. I'm all for setting up the yacht meeting. I'm all for all that behind the scenes stuff that we shouldn't know about. The coaxing. That's what you're supposed to do as an owner. All right.
that would have been a
If
disaster. We got him for
it,
1 year, dude. That would have been a
yeah,
disaster.
yeah, in 1 year he could have won the Super Bowl like he did in Tampa. You never know.
Uh,
He
that
won the
team
Super
wasn't.
Bowl in 1 year in Tampa. You're right. You're right. You're right. But still, you and I have talked about this before. If the owner of your team is not going after the greatest quarterback of all time, no matter what prime he's in or whatever, did you not want that or do you want that?
No, no, I wanted Tua. I didn't want to
Okay,
change anything. I was good with
that's
Tua.
fine. I wanted to it too because they had something really good that they had to build on.
Brother, I came out golden on this. I never wavered like anything on this at all. I said I was fine with Tua.
Uh
Once you
huh.
took the chance, I said, okay, the guy can play. His injury history is one thing you got to worry about, but he can play. So I had no worries about that. And plus, I have, unlike most people from the get go,
Uh huh.
know the three guys that are on the top. I've been in this business for 33 years. I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of people in the NFL and a lot of people have given me plenty of information on these three guys. Marvin Allen should be a GM and Reggie McKenzie should be a GM. We have
Yeah.
three GMs running the team. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why when they came together, I said this will prove to be one of the best front offices in the NFL. But the problem is they're black. And and unfortunately, when you're black, you don't get the same opportunities
Mm-hmm.
and the same chances. And this is
Well,
why we
there's a lot of jobs opening up this off season, Big O. There's a very
right.
good chance. There's a very good chance both those guys could get some interviews for sure. And there's a good chance both those guys are going to be like, you know what? I don't want the setup that you guys have over here. I'll have the keys to everything, but I might be out of a job in 4 years. I might end up just staying in Miami. I like being down there. Chris treats me
Darrell
good.
Bevel.
We're winning a
Darrell
little
Bevel.
bit. I remember it'll help, right? It'll
Darrell
help the
Bevel.
Dolphins when they figure out the rest of their team too.
That's what Darrell Bevel did. He had a shot to
Mm-hmm.
leave last year, and he said, "No, no, no. I'm going to stay here. I like this situation here. That what you're offering me is not good. No, no, it's not worthy of me leaving."
Yeah.
And Bevel's the guy that people will look at, but he's smart. He wants to go to, if he's going to do it, he's going to go to the right place. So I don't know how
It's
Marvin and Reggie, but Reggie already has gotten screwed, and
mhm.
Marvin's been screwed royally multiple times because
Yeah.
he did a marvelous job in Atlanta, a marvelous job in Kansas City, and he doesn't get rewarded. And
Mhm.
he's a fantastic personnel guy, and I know that for a fact. And so, to me, you got three monsters at the top of this organization.
Yeah.
Just let them do their job, and don't. The problem is Flo thought he was a personnel guy, and that's
Yeah,
that's
he
that's
called offense too, man. What do you want? He did it all. That's why the Dolphins had a really bad situation. They brought in some really good people. Chris Greer brought in, like you mentioned, those two guys, and then Mike McDaniel's the cherry on top of all of this. His demeanor and his leadership has been really instrumental in this Dolphins turnaround. Right? Sure, the schedule is a little bit softer, and they're winning a lot more games. Sure, but you see the play on the field, and it's not lacking. Right? Defense
no,
turned around. They made a right move with Vic Fangio. Offense is one of the best in the league in a year where scoring is down, right? Like we complain about scoring with the Dolphins, like like they should be like the University of Miami back in the 80s and 90s, blowing people out by 40 points every game. Like the league average is 20 points per game, And when the Dolphins put up 24-27, we're like, oh man, that's a bad game. Like it's really unique. We are very spoiled. We are very spoiled here. Like we are with Messi, with the Heat, all this other stuff. Like the Dolphins are in good shape. They got this game in Washington this week. I'm really interested to see how they play the Commanders here. Sam Howell leads the NFL in yards, but he also leads the NFL in sacks. So that should be fun. This would have been a game Jalen Phillips would have went to town and had probably 2.5 sacks, right? You missed him here. But we'll see what the defense comes up with. And then the back end too. I mean, no, Sam Howell hasn't played a secondary like this before, ever, I believe. Yeah. It should be, but you also don't know what you're going to get from offense. You don't know if you're going to get sloppy Tua or really good Tua. So that's kind of always up in the air. But this is the time of year where Tua has to find his groove, or maybe you don't want him to have his groove now. You want him to have his groove in a month from now, right? When the playoffs start.
I want him to start getting in the groove, because I talked about this yesterday or the day before, I think it was. The missing ingredient right now, the defense has arrived. It's here now. Jalen in. All of a sudden now the defense has the balance it needs. It has the secondary to complement the front to get after the quarterback. So now you've got it. So the last thing that's left for the offense is the turnovers. To me, you eliminate the turnovers, and I think you can beat anybody and everybody that's left on your schedule. You'll have the opportunity to beat anybody and everybody on your schedule.
Yeah, definitely.
But this is the question I have for you, because I kind of get the feeling from watching Tua talk that he's reaching his own boiling point on, dude, I got to stop doing these stupid things and making these mistakes. I almost got the feeling here in the last couple games here that it's kind of built up to some kind of crescendo for him, that it's really now starting to frustrate him that he is turning it over. So I'm hoping he beats himself up enough to get to the point where he is now playing smart with his body, that he throws the ball away, slides, all of that shit. He doesn't take hits anymore. I love that now. I need him to get to that point. Do you think he's getting to that point? Do you sense the same thing, or am I wrong here?
I don't think you're wrong here. I think you're barking up the right tree. I would venture to say that when Tua has a mistake in a game, he blames himself. And then when Tua has a mistake in his game, Mike McDaniel blames himself. So if that's a disconnect or what's going on there, I'm not sure. But for some reason, some play calls are leading to interceptions, and Mike feels the need to take the blame for Tua because he's putting that play out there for Tua to run. So you're not sure if Tua's, not confident in the throws he's making, or just making mistakes on those certain plays. Maybe they keep running it because they think they're going to get it right. Like the 4th down screen play or whatever with a yard to go. There's some plays that are working and some plays that are not. So look, you got some easy opponents here. I think the Dolphins, if you watch Hard Knocks, you could tell they kind of played with their food a little bit against the Jets. It was a team you could do that against. Washington, maybe the same way, not as much, but still. But this is a great time for the Dolphins to get some work in, figure it out, and make sure they're humming on all cylinders, because a bunch of other teams are looking really, really good right now. The Dolphins are kind of hanging around in the mix now, right? But, you look at it across the board. Philly's playing really great. San Fran, Dallas, that's all in the NFC alone. The Chiefs may have figured out their offense, but you're still okay with that. Baltimore looks good. Might be okay with Isaiah Likely. Jacksonville squeaked by Houston, and Doug Peterson made some really boneheaded calls in that game. So you're kind of worried about Jacksonville. You could probably beat them. And then the rest of the AFC. Huh?
Houston's not an easy team to beat, man.
No, they're not. Houston's a tough out. They got a tough game against the Broncos this week, who all of a sudden are a winning team. Dolphins have a win over a winning team. How many is that this season, Big O? I lost count. Is that one? Hey man, yeah, but you finally got one. They're 6-5 now.
The way I look at it is, Dolphins would have lost a game or two of those kind of games that they're winning all of them now. They're beating all those teams they're supposed to beat. And the way I look at it, why I think things have turned the corner, why I've been talking about it, even in the losses, they have played better against the better teams in those last 2 losses. So I think they're getting closer and closer to turning that corner and putting together a complete performance against the top echelon type teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's coming from Miami. But what I am proud of is that they aren't slipping up against the bad teams. They are winning those games. And that's something that in the past, we have to say, that would not have been the case, dude.
Yeah,
That would not.
definitely. I mean, they shouldn't have been 500 Flores' last year at all when they started, what, 0-7, 1-7? They had some
Right.
very winnable games in that stretch. None of that's happening right now, knock on wood, for the Washington game this week. But I would say, the Dolphins are getting good work against the good teams, right? You lost to
Yeah.
San Fran last year. You lost to Buffalo, Eagles, Chiefs. You're facing the great teams, right? There's a lot fewer great teams than there are the regular mediocre teams, right? Whether you're above mediocre or below mediocre, I think you've shown you're a little bit above, right? And you're kind of at the cusp of being a great team. So, Dolphins are taking learning lessons here. And the last 3 games of the season are going to be a really big barometer for them if they can try to go get the 1 seed. If they're gonna end up playing on the road by some means, who knows? I doubt it. But who's gonna be their playoff matchup? Are they gonna be stuck with Baltimore again? Things like this. So, and the last game of the season being the Bills, man, that's gonna be a rude awakening for Buffalo. I think that's a great game for the Dolphins to have to go right into the playoffs. It's just gonna be let it all out,
I hope they kick their ass, dude.
Let it all out.
By the way, one more thing. Can you just flat out ask McDaniel, what is it you just hate running on 3rd and 4th and 1?
I don't understand, man. Sometimes one thing I've learned in covering football my entire career, I covered Jimbo Fisher. That was my first coach I really covered. People are very, very confident in what they call and their playbook because they have to be. They have to sell it to the room that they're in, right? And you have to be able to convince others it works. And when it doesn't work, you look like an idiot. And when it does, you look like a genius. And you're really hoping to bat more than 300 in these situations, but sometimes you're not. And so, maybe Mike outsights himself. Maybe he does.
There's no doubt he outthinks himself. My question is, how many times I'm watching the Tin Cup of Coaches?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking
definitely.
about?
If it's not a big splash play, go ahead. What was that?
Did you watch the movie Tin Cup?
No, I didn't. Tell me about it.
Okay, well, in other words, it's somebody doing the same stupid play over and over again and keep failing, and you keep doing it and you keep failing. It's the definition of insanity. And that's what I'd like to ask Mike McDaniel, isn't it insanity that you just continue to pass on 3rd and 4th and 1 when, by the way, aren't you one of the better running teams in the NFL? I mean,
hey, sometimes it's hard to run when people know the run is coming. Maybe Mike psychs himself out for that. We don't know. But the short yardage thing is a really big issue. The short yardage thing is a really big issue. You're right.
Running on on short distance here on this team is a surprise. It's not the obvious, actually. The game
you're supposed to get a 20-yard play.
They're passing on 3rd and 4th and 1. That's what the game plan says. If you actually
maybe it's just a huge fake out. Like he's just gonna do nothing but pass plays the first half of the year. Then in the playoffs, you're just gonna run all the time on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1.
Okay,
maybe it's a deep fake.
So you're going
conspiracy
Rocky
theory.
You're going Rocky. He's holding out to go southpaw on Apollo towards the end of the fight, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
That's it. Mike's got us all figured out, man. He's got us all figured out.
He's going to go southpaw on us in the playoffs and then just run on 3rd and 4th and 1 all the time.
Yeah, Tua's going to start throwing right-handed, actually, when the playoffs start. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, no. He's also going to start doing the tush push on top of all that. Yeah, exactly.
God.
Yeah,
not a good play for Tua.
Yeah.
I think it's actually I think that would be a good play for Tua because he's got the lower body strength, but not the upper body. Not the upper body.
No.
We don't want his upper body near any hits.
No. I don't want him anywhere there. No. He's
You're
not built for that. No. That Hurts squats like 600 pounds.
Yeah, Hurts squats 600 pounds, and they're like 1st and 8 every time they get the ball.
Yeah.
They don't get just 1. They get like 3 yards every time.
You heard, I think Tua said it in that interview that Hurts would work out with the linemen. Like, get the hell out of here, bro.
I asked Tua that question.
That's why the tush push works with him and Mahomes blows out his ankle, and I don't want too involved in that because he's built for it. Not everybody is built for that, unless you're a big, unless you're a Josh Allen, you're a big guy, then the quarterback. Yeah, Herbert. You can use big body guys, Roethlisberger, all that for that shit. But I don't want Tua in there. All right, what do you got going on in the USA today, my friend?
Yeah, I'm gonna go check out the Dolphins today. I'm also gonna be at InterMiami on Saturday. We got the U.S. Women's National Team in town. They have a lot of tickets available, is what I was told. Nothing like a messy crowd. So if you have a daughter, you want to go catch a game or something, 3:00 Saturday at InterMiami, definitely encourage you guys to go do that. But yeah, man, just checking out the NFL stuff.
Ticket is like $85 only, right?
Is it really? I didn't check that part out when I said that. That makes a lot of sense now. That makes a lot of sense. Well, excuse me.
Yeah, right. $85 is the cheapest ticket.
Oh wow! Well, and I got my podcast coming later today. It's a football podcast recapping the last week. So looking forward to that, guys.
You got it. And follow him on Twitter at Safid_Deen. We'll talk on Friday, my friend. Thank you, sir.
Need a late one Friday, Big O.
I got you covered, bro. Oh,
take it easy, man.
All right, baby. Be good. There you go. The great Safid Deen. And when we talk about Baptist Health, well, they are the official sports medicine provider for the Miami Heat, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, InterMiamiCF, FIU, FAU, Orange Bowl, Miami-Dade County, Miami Open Tennis, Miami Marathon, and half marathons. And folks, the staff at Baptist Health Orthopedic Care is comprised of highly specialized, board-certified, and fellowship-trained orthopedic physicians supported by advanced practice providers and athletic trainers, all of whom play a vital role in the patient's experience. And of course, we've got locations from Monroe County all the way to Palm Beach County. I go all the time to the one in Kendall. My wife, my daughter, we're visiting that place all the time because Baptist Health keeps the Alzugaray family in one piece, but we've got them out in Boynton Beach, by the way, Bethesda East and West. I got Joe Shad coming up. We got Boca Regional at 800 Meadows Road. All over the place, down in Marathon Key and Tavernier Key. We've got Baptist Health facilities everywhere. We even got one right there in the training facility for the Dolphins. So that way, every time Omar Kelly faints, they can take him right there to Baptist Health. It's a beautiful thing. Use that QR code right there on the screen and set yourself up. BaptistHealth.net/ortho. Joe Shad is next.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.